The way back towards the camp is treacherous and dangerous, and you're reminded by how horrible the swamp is. Not necessarily just by the mosquitoes and the darkness and the cold water at your feet reaching ankle high, but also of the blood-sucking gnats flying around, the blood flies, the lurkers sweeping through the waters with their tails swirling as you're looking down at all the waterways infesting this part of the colony. You see the walls of the sect camp at the distance, and as you approach, you see Templars standing by the entrance, and you see that the camp is being lit by blue light from inside. One of the Templars nods and says, "Take care inside," as you push your way past the wooden gates of the sect camp link. As you enter this hut, fire bellows out from the entrance and rises up in wafts of smoke from which it escapes in small holes in the rooftop. Jafe, the one who introduced you earlier to the sect camp, is standing by the fire and telling a story, saying, "And as I learned, the last dragon that was seen in Vengard was about 200 years ago. But it astounds me how those four adventurers found another surviving one." And one of them asks, "But how did it hide there all this time?" And Jafe says, "I don't know. I'm guessing perhaps the water lady must have hidden him away. Ah, there you are, friends. How are you?" You come close to him and you listen to what he's saying. He's looking quite intently at the novices and he's saying, "And Iberian received a vision. After a long day of working, of horrible bullying and coercion, of nothing but despair and wallowing in his sorrow, he slept deeply. So deeply he was visited by the dreamer, the first man to ever hear his voice. He was guided. The dreamer said go, and he went. He didn't know where he would be taken, but the dreamer, more and more as he walked, told him what he must do. Establish a camp from the swamp. Establish a camp deeply within the swamp, and gather novices for the Brotherhood, a community for everyone where we can all live in peace. That is why you are here now." And the novices nod. And one of them says, "Thank you, Master. Thank you." And they disperse. The ball looks at you and he says, "You are listening to our teachings. Are you interested?" And then he says, "You know, I was wondering if you could try and help me with something. You see, I'm looking to conduct a couple of experiments as I'm writing a small treaty on a couple of things. I'm supposed to be doing them out in the wild, but I've got business to take care of here. If I was to leave, then the house would go crazy. So, how about I pay you instead? Maybe you can do a couple of things for me." He scratches his bald pate and he says, "Well, first of all, I have this scroll." And he shows you a scroll. He hands it over to you. "I've tried fiddling with it. Apparently it's supposed to befriend an animal. I've used all the old runes and I think I've done it correctly, but, well, I haven't tried it out myself. Try and find a lurker. When you find him, cast a spell. It should befriend the creature." Okay, cool. So you make your way out of the hut, back to the sound of insects buzzing and frogs croaking in nearby ponds. The blue orb above the small pond here illuminates everything around you in a blue light. You remember you were supposed to talk to Balkan, and Jafe also told you something about Templars to the north. Okay, good. So you're sitting there having just talked to Balkan, who offered you the quest to eliminate Wrathcap the Goblin, which you know is going to be a very daunting task, even though you haven't seen or heard much about this Wrathcap.
Well, if that's all, Balkan, we should get moving.
Would you know where this goblin, tends to lurk around?
He shakes his head and he says, "The goblin roams around the swamp. You should find him if you look."
You said he has a red cap.
He nods.
Does he have any scars or anything on him more specific? Or I guess you have seen him.
He has a very rough and leathery skin, but scars. Besides 24 of them, not any that sticks out in particular. Trust me, when you see Redcap, you're gonna know it's him.
Well, we will definitely try our best.
Good. So you've picked up on a new quest, which is to eliminate Wrathcap. And you make your way away from the ball.
Well, I think we should take up the wizard to the temple guard and ask around if they need some help as our hot mate, let's call him that, pointed out.
Perfect. So you start making your way through the wormway up towards this Templar ground. You see in the distance, over by what appears to be the foot of a small mountain outcrop, a small rock outcrop that nonetheless appears to be big enough to be able to have a wide open cave mouth. There appears to have been chiseled stone and constructed architecture over by that temple, but before the temple proper, the temple of the sect camp, there appears to be the ground of the Templars, where you see them training with their big swords and axes and maces and mauls and all sorts of deadly weapons.
This swamp reminds me of the stories I've heard of the jungles far south from Shadowham. Never been there myself, and to be frank, probably know nobody I know been, but the stories they circle around, it say they're wet and filled with all sort of poisonous plants and creatures. I think it's a bit more forested than this, but I can see some similarities. Maybe they were speaking of some swamps.
You step inside this part of the sect camp, and you see a lot of Templars around. Some of them are working on some parts that appear to be the basis of what appear to be future houses to be built. There's a Templar and a novice talking over here in hushed voices, while a Templar over here is looking quite angry and irritated. He keeps fidgeting around and looking from side to side.
I mean, I entered the hut.
The Templar turns around and he says, "Huh? Hey, who let you here?"
Us? Oh no, we just heard some. We heard some of you we need help with something, so we just came in. There was no door, wasn't exactly locked, so I just strolled in.
This Templar laughs while the one over here says, "This is the Templar's ground, old man. You're lost. But if you're trying to help us with something, how about you kill a mine crawler and bring me back its plates?" And this Templar, a big, bulky Templar with a very serious face but a surprisingly kind smile, smiles at you.
Oh, a minecrawler. I've met a few of those. Quite devastating creatures, must tell you. But the shell, oh, I can imagine that you could craft quite a nice piece of shield or armor out of it.
He nods and he says, "You can also harvest their secretion as well. There's many things you could learn from the mine crawlers." "I am Angar. I'm the leader of the Templars. If you or any one of your group can prove their worth by doing this for me, I'll vote for your entry in the camp. Otherwise, you'd best try and help with brooming around. It's getting dusty." And he smiles, a cheeky smile.
Roaming around, you say? As in, I'll actually look around. Is there a broom then?
He points over to here, where there's a broom lying in the corner.
I'll walk to it, pick it up, and actually start, roaming.
It takes you 30 minutes to broom all over the room, and Rashid and Sajjad probably wait for you as you do all of that. You very extensively broom the room, to which Angar nods to you and says, "Thank you. That was appreciated. I wasn't so serious about it, but you're persistent. I'll take this as a good sign. I'll talk to the balls, see about your potential, maybe you should join us. But for now, please, leave us, he says, as he kicks out the novice as well, and
Alright,
remains just with the Templar.
I'll put the broom back where it was and come out.
As you exit, the Templar says, "Hey, old man, Ulrin right there is looking for some help. Maybe you can try and help him."
Oh, thanks for the advice.
What were you doing in there? You are wasting the precious time we have.
Oh, don't be so angry. Making acquaintances is always nice in new places, and sometimes it takes a bit of time.
Oh, we are not angry, we are just hungry. We have way too little time and way too little food. We have to find some balance, and not a broom around the camp for free.
You
I
know,
was-
you young people don't appreciate simple things in this world. Roaming around is quite relaxing and gives you some time to think about the world and the big things.
Yes, when you have time and you're not pressured by hunger and creatures that want to kill you and people, huh?
Oh, yes, yes. Speaking of hunger, I had just some small idea. We could hunt. It's dangerous, sure, but we also have this little task of a little experiment on the lurker. We could try to combine those two and try to find some lurkers. We'll get the food, and we'll complete the task. What do you think?
And maybe you can find some hugweed.
Oh, the hug with also some alchemical ingredients would be nice. Those potions could be quite useful for us.
It's not about potions. It's about making a name out here. That's why we're here, remember?
Trust me, a potion, sometimes a good potion is much better than a great victory. You never know when you're bleeding out there, and well,
I'm just wasting my
for the
breath over
potion
here.
being poured into your mouth, young man.
Why did I bother asking? Come on, we should have things to do here.
Is going. You walk over there towards the temple, and the Templar stops you, and he says, "You're not gonna get past me, Shedamite."
Ah, I was just trying to see what was up here. But if you say no, then maybe we'll meet some other time. And then she
That's the
turns around.
temple. Only novices can enter here. You approach the nervous, fidgeting Templar, and he takes a brief look at you, and he says, "Ah, yes. What is it?"
Hello, I heard you might need some help with something.
You really think you can help me? If you could, I'd be really, really grateful. Okay, well, I'm really ashamed to admit this, but we have a lurker around here. A few, of course, who occasionally come by and steal some food. Usually, they don't steal many important things, just food to survive, but my greatsword has gone missing. I think a lurker has stolen it. There was a lurker that had this funny look in his eyes each time he walked up to the shore to snatch something. Almost looked like he was laughing at me, like the bastard knew how much I love my sword. So I'm guessing he took it from me. I've killed lurkers up and down the river, but I haven't found my sword. If you find my sword, bring it back to me, won't you? I'll give you my helmet. Beautiful sky iron helmet. You won't find many like it.
Oh, of course. It's a shame such tragedy took place, but could you describe your sword a bit more so we know exactly which one it is, if you find any? Quite a few travelers, die around. Maybe you'll find a wrong sword.
It's an intricate sword with a very sharp edge. The pommel is blue in color.
I see. Well, yes, we were actually thinking of going on a little lurker hunt, so perhaps we will find it. And if we will, we'll return it.
I hope you do. You know, the dreamer can help me with many things, but I dream about my missing greatsword at night, and it's not nice.
I understand. Missing a very important possession is quite a loss. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I was forced to leave everything behind me when I left Shadham, so I feel your pain.
Good. I'll be around here if you need anything.
As I know I have.
You've gotten quite a lot of tasks from the camp. You don't think there's much else you could gather?
Well, as we see, we could again try to go lurker hunting. We can, as you say, smack 3 scorpions with 1 stone. Get some food, perhaps. Maybe find a sword and touch the spell. What do you think, people? Well, is any of you good at tracking animals? I'm clearly not the best at it.
Of course, none of you is, so I'll do it.
Alright then. Lead the way then, Sajjad.
Awesome, so you make your way towards the exit.